Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're chilling, looking at the last sunset of my 20s. Tomorrow is my 30th birthday, and I think it's safe to say it's been an amazing decade. I'm about to buy a house, about to move on from this apartment, but I will stay quintessential myself, and I will continue to grow. But I will say, I'm going to absolutely miss this apartment. I mean, I feel like from here, you're like perched up on sort of the top of the world. Look at that sky. Look at that sun over there. But it's like you feel the heat. You feel the energy. You feel the life of Albany, New York. And also, look at this. I don't know if you can see that plane. Oh, there he is. Oh. Planes come right over there. Planes are still landing in Albany International Airport, which I guess is a good thing. Maybe. I don't know if there's anybody on that plane, but that's TBD. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to shoot this video really quick, just to kind of, for my own personal records and just kind of my life in general. Also, this hat right here, when I was 14 years old, I started playing bass guitar. And to be honest with you, up until that time, I didn't really listen to that much music. I wasn't really interested in music. I was never really moved by music at an early age. A lot of people say they grew up with music all the time. I guess there was music being played in my house, but I never had the impulse to play music. I used to dance to music. I used to listen to Now CDs when I was 1 or 2, or not 1 or 2, Now 1, Now 2. I used to listen to those CDs and dance to them with my brothers, and it was kind of funny. But it wasn't until I was 14 years old and my older brother was like, yo, he had just gone to an arcade, and he played one of those rock band drum sets where you basically play along to the drum set. And he got obsessed with drums and was like, dude, I'm gonna buy a drum set, you need to buy a bass. He was 2 years older than me. He still he was 16 at the time. And I bought a bass. I was like, yo, all right, I'll buy one. And I bought a purple Yamaha bass, 4-string. I went to this place called New Music in Albany with my mom, and I bought that bass. And to be honest with you, I didn't even really know what a bass was. But as soon as I bought the bass, and again, there was no real inspiration to buy it. It was just my brother was like, yo, you should just buy a bass guitar. And I was like, all right, sounds good, And it was the perfect example of how sometimes a decision without thought can spark a whole movement. It's almost are you all theory and no action, or all action and no theory? And in this case, it was all action and no theory. What do we got now? That's a Delta flight. And I bought that bass, and from there, I was like, all right, well, let me learn about bass, because now I have one. So I started learning about Red Hot Chili Peppers and Flea, and I was like, whoa, Flea plays bass, that's cool. He's a bass player, So I started learning Red Hot Chili Peppers songs. And even then, I didn't really listen to that much music, so I didn't really know what to learn to play. So I literally would sit in my room, and I would listen to the radio, Fly 92 in Albany, New York, and it was, the pop music of the time. It was Pink, Like a Pill, or I remember really thinking that the Smooth Criminal, Alien Ant Farm, their cover of Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, I always thought that was a really cool song. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna learn that on bass, And then from there, I started just jamming with my brother, and we listened to bands like The Hives and The Vines. The Hives, Hate to Say I Told You So by The Hives. Look that up. And there's actually a break in that song. It's just bass, and I was like, whoa, it's a bass solo, And yeah, that was where it all started. So then from there, I got into bass, and then later on, I wanted to write songs because I got really into that. So then I got into acoustic guitar, and I was obsessed with Nirvana, Dashboard Confessional, and then eventually got into Death Cab for Cutie, learning acoustic guitar. And then I was in a band, which is kind of a heavier band. And then I really got into, later on, I wanted to make it all the music myself. So I started to do like production and beats for the first time, if you will. And it was in my parents' shed on an 8-track recorder. And I was really into this band called Youth Lagoon. I saw them live in 2011. Open up for Death Cab for Cutie. I was with an old girlfriend of mine, and I remember Youth Lagoon opened the show, and they were sweet. And I was like, man, I want to learn keyboards. So I started learning keys, and from there I started doing like drums on the keys, like kind of like drum machine. Like, but it wasn't like programming drums. It was just like literally just playing them on the keyboard like that. And then I was just recording on this Tascam DP02 recorder. That was the first time I ever like recorded full music with drums. Because up until then it was just like acoustic guitar, layered stuff. And my brother was always into recording, which set me off too. Because like, again, he told me just to buy a bass. So I just bought a bass. And then he like set up a recording studio in our house. And was like, all right, we're going to record. And I was like, damn. And like, that's where I saw recording for the first time. And that's where I was exposed to like the wonders and the magic and like how the studio can be an instrument in itself, you know. So like, shout out to my brother. I say this, like, he truly like started it all. He like started it all, man. Like, without him, there's no way I'd be into music if it wasn't for him. LO, man. Dave Lombardo, he started it all. But yeah, I mean, still to this day, I have like his monitors in his recording studio and all that stuff. So anyway, from there, I got into production, Youth Lagoon. Then I remember in 2014, 2015, like, I was in a band and I was making my own music and stuff, but I kind of getting frustrated with like being in a band because everything is so serious. You have to like really think about each song, and I don't know, I kind of want to try something different. And that's when I first saw selling beats online, and I was like, what? I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, what do you mean? Like, you can make a beat and other people will sing on it? That was like a weird concept to me. And also like using the internet to do that, it made sense though, because I always believed in the power of the internet. I still do, you know. Even now people are like, oh man, I don't think music can be automated, and like, I don't think art can be fully automated. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, human expression will be automated. It doesn't make any sense. But like, technology and all that stuff, I love it. So I think you should embrace it. So when I saw you could sell beats online, I was like, I'm in. Like, let's go. And I remember buying a course from this guy named Postman. If any of the early producers understand who that is, this guy named Postman, who like, he was just like our OG, who like was like, yo, I sell beats online. And I bought this course for like $400. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this. Like, I want to do it. I really wanted to quit my job at the time, and I was repairing violins at this place called John Keel Music. And I remember thinking like, yo, I'm just gonna make a beat every single day for the next like year, maybe two beats every 2 years for 2 years. I don't know. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like make this a lifestyle of mine. I never really had any actual. It was just like, I want to just do this so consistently and see what happens. Like, I remember even like Frank Ocean. Like, I love Frank Ocean. I love that sound. And like, he was playing guitars, or like the producers were playing guitars. And at the time, like, when I started selling beats online, like 2015, nobody was doing guitar-based beats. It was like Migos type beat, Drake type beat. It's like Rick Ross type beat. I don't even, and that was it. And it was all like, you know, there was no live instruments. It really wasn't. At least not that I really knew about. So I was like, man, I'm just gonna like plug in my guitar to this interface and just play live guitar on all these beats. And I remember thinking like, I'm gonna make 500 Frank Ocean type beats. That was my goal. That was like, it wasn't really to sell a ton of beats or to work with cool artists or to like get placements or whatever. I was like, man, I'm just gonna like make 500 Frank Ocean type beats. And still to this day, I feel like that's kind of been like one of the main inspirations. It's just like, it's just a lifestyle, you know. It's not like the goal that I have is to continue. Like, the goal I have is to be consistent. The goal I have is to show up every day and just create music. And I've been proven so many times that like, you never know where it's gonna go. You never know where the music's gonna take you. You never know who's gonna be into something. You never know like who's out there and who's like waiting to hear something that you're gonna create. And if you don't create it, they'll never hear it. And if they never hear it, they'll never hit you up, and the world will be a worse place. So, like, I guess at the end of the day, my advice is always just, like, create. Just go. But anyway, it's like a 10-minute video. I really didn't think I was going to go off on my own on a bio. I thought I was going to give a shout out to the sunset. But today is the last day of my 20s, and this is the last sunset. And it's kind of setting right now, if you will. But if you're watching this right now, and then I'm probably going to post this on my YouTube channel, I guess. I wasn't going to do that, but figured I'm going to do that. And thank you so much for listening to my beats, and I really, really appreciate it. And you guys are the best. Like, the fact that I can make music and it resonates with people, and, you know, people can make records, and it supports me, and I've met so many cool people. I'm like, I've traveled around, like, met people just through making music. Like, my life has changed so much, so dramatically, by just sharing, like, to the world, you know? So shout out to my brother for turning me out to music. Shout out to you guys for supporting the lifestyle. And the next decade, my 30s, will only be bigger and better and consistent, because that's been my mission statement since day one of xRRARE. The mission statement has always been like, man, I want a project where I can just create. That was it. Like, it was like, I don't want to think about press. I don't want to think about, like, you know, like labels and managers and stuff. And, you know, the projects evolve, and now I have, like, attorneys, and I do contracts and, like, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just the same thing. Literally the same thing. It's just me in a room every day, waking up, just making beats, just making music and putting it out to the world. And I always believe, like, if you just make a ton of music, and if you just do something for long enough, and you keep showing up, and you're really good, and you love it, you'll never, ever, ever fail. There's no way. There's just no way. The worst thing you can do is just stop. You know? It's just like, it's like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had that quote, is, I don't fear the man with 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who has done one kick a day for 1,000 days. That's what it is. It's consistency. So, all right, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the sunset. Peace and love to the bass players out there. Stay real. See you guys on the flip. Later.